Welcome to the Harjit Prayer Show with your host, Harjit Prayer.
Hey, Prayer. How's it
What's
going,
going on,
buddy?
Harjit? How
Yeah,
are you?
it's going, man. Life is still busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New webcam, I see.
Yeah, a little improvement.
That's good.
I
Hopefully,
I still need to work on the light here because I got the little glare in the glasses and stuff, but it's better.
eh, we're, yeah, people aren't paying for our content, so I don't think it matters.
No, I think they just come for good looks,
Yeah, right.
sexy
Okay.
voices.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
Flashing lights behind me.
flashing lights, barking
Yep,
dogs, whatever. Yeah, that's fine.
exactly.
So what's going
Cool,
on, man?
man.
What's new? What's new out there in the IT world? What should we talk to our folks about?
Yeah, so I'm going to bring up this article. Two things that I'm going to share that we'll put in the show notes. I put this on my Twitter the other day. I don't share much on Twitter, but when I do, it's like, okay, this isn't this is important stuff that I need to remember, and maybe it'll be helpful for somebody else. But the title is, it's a Mark O'Shea blog at Microsoft.
Hmm.
The the Windows 7 and Windows Server 2008 and 2008 R2 end of support countdown has begun. So, January 14th, 2020, you had better not have any more Windows 7 and Windows Server 2008 and R2 systems on your network because you won't be getting any more security updates,
Which is a big
which is a
thing.
deal. So, yep,
Just like XP, right?
I know, right?
Yeah,
Finally let that thing die.
yeah. But
But that's good.
they did come up with a fix at one time. What was it? Sometime last year. I can't
Yeah,
remember what that was.
I forgot as well, but it was a
Yeah.
pretty big deal that they did make available, which I kind of was like, don't do that. Like, people should not have that anymore. So let it, don't.
Let it die. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not so generous like that, so whatever.
I noticed that.
I bought
Anyways,
you beer. I
yeah.
bought you beer.
Yeah,
What are you talking about?
yeah,
Okay.
you did. You did.
All right.
All right.
And the other thing that I had is, again, this was a couple of days ago. I'm sorry, nope, not a couple of days ago, but I just noticed it. Basically, it's a list of products that are reaching end of support for 2018. So basically, everything Microsoft, where if it's reaching
Yeah.
some kind of, along their support timeline, some kind of milestone, they have made a list of that there. And so, some of the stuff where, okay, it's like, okay, we're not releasing updates for this anymore. The big one is Office, some of the pieces of the Office 2007 suite, specifically Office Communicator. Um,
Hmm.
that'll be done. I know some folks still have that out there, and they're either moving to the cloud or Skype for Business on-prem.
Yeah.
Um, and the other thing to make note of is products moving from mainstream to extended support. So that means no more features, but we'll continue to get um, security updates
Right.
for it. And again, I took notice of here is Office 2013.
Hmm.
So, we can still have it. We can still use it.
Yeah.
We'll still get security updates. That's good. Exchange Server is in there as well.
2013. Yeah.
Yep. And Skype for Business 2015 as well. So it's cool. We're still getting security updates. You can still call Microsoft and say, hey, I have a problem, but don't expect any more
Right.
additional features and things like that. And there's other things in there as well.
Yeah. It's
BizTalk,
practically all the 2013 stuff.
20
OneNote.
Server 2012 R2.
Right.
Again, security updates, but nothing
SharePoint.
else.
SharePoint's also in there.
Yep.
So yeah, a bunch
So,
of things in there. And this one says April 10, 2018, right?
mhm.
Yeah, and end of support.
Yeah,
Yeah.
different dates for different products.
And then we
So,
also have some servers in here too.
mhm.
Server 2012, Server 2012 R2, and those are October 9, 2018. So yeah, we'll give this link in the video there, and folks can check it out.
Yep.
So what what else? So the other thing that we have, I don't know, do you have it? The news that came out today, it actually has been shared and shared and shared and whatnot. If you were online today,
Oh, everybody freaking out about servicing changes?
yeah, it's called Changes to Office and Windows Servicing and Support. So what this is talking about is service. So one part is the servicing extensions for Windows 10.
Mm-hmm.
And you got like version 15.11, 16.07, 17.03, 17.09. And it looks like they've extended it to, I believe it's like 24 months, like from the time that they were released. So, for example, 15.11, end of support was October 10, 2017. Now they've extended it for enterprise and education to April 10, 2018, and things like that.
Got it. So is that 6 months? Yeah.
Yeah.
An additional 6 months.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
nice of Microsoft.
Very nice. Yeah.
I have to say though, like 1511, that was a solid build.
It
Like,
wasn't
that was-
too bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that was the first time I started telling folks in enterprise situations that's the release to focus on. But
Yeah.
prepare, I said after that, work on servicing your editions, not creating new images, because very quickly you'll have to get updated and stuff like that, which some of them are doing, which is awesome.
Yeah. Well, I don't know whether you were paying attention to the WhatsApp group that we have, but there was a chatter today late today about someone from a company buying a Surface from Best Buy, going home and then logging in and connecting it to the work account, right?
Mhm.
So and then they could get all the bits and stuff like that. So it's enterprise ready. But the caveat was that the buying it from Best Buy, you end up having Office 365 Home,
Mhm.
whereas the Enterprise is Office 365 Pro Plus or something, and then they don't jive, and there was a whole chatter about it today. So
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah, which is really interesting too, to know about that. Like you can't, upgrade to Pro Plus because the Home edition is there, but you can't uninstall, and there's a lot of like caveats and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you buy a home, if a device comes with Windows 10 Home Edition, then an Office Home Edition, I begin to think, hey, this must be architected that way for a reason. Like, it makes it super cheap, right? That is the big thing. You can pick up a $200 tablet and then there you go.
Yeah.
If you want something that's going to run heftier apps and basically a larger footprint operating system, I would not be saying, oh, just go to Best Buy and buy something with Windows 10 Home on it. I would be saying, go and make sure you get Windows 10 at least professional that way. And then if they need enterprise, my question would be, okay, what features in enterprise do you need that isn't in professional? I'm talking Windows. Because there are a few things, but at the same time, like they're marked a particular way for a reason. And there are third-party products out there that do let you do imaging from the cloud and stuff like that. But to push to upgrade editions is a SKU change.
Yeah.
And so it shouldn't be hard to script all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, it is like, okay, it'd be nice to kind of do all this stuff, and I think you'll eventually get there. But there was a time where a user would a person could not buy a laptop or whatever and then just log into the network and get all their stuff.
No.
You would have to join it to the domain,
Right.
get the SCCM client or whatever.
But that's
Now
not the
you-
case anymore. Now you
Exactly.
right.
If
you
you know,
got the
okay,
autopilot and all that stuff, right?
exactly. So you can still go pick up your Windows Home thing or whatever, join it, and just log in with your work account, and stuff will happen that will make it into an almost fully functional whatever. So I would have to. I did follow along. I don't understand all the background in it and stuff, but it was an interesting scenario, and it would be pretty cool if there was a way eventually to get it there. But
I think the issue is that if you have these one-offs, then you can have your internal IT folks dedicate some time to troubleshoot and connect to the user and say, okay, let me see what I can do, and let me try to uninstall this and install this or whatever, right? But when you start talking about, on a mass scale, where everybody is like, salespeople or whatever, remote workers, they're like, when they need one, they just go to Best Buy or Staples to pick one up. Now you start running into that issue of support.
Yep.
It becomes more of an internal support than anything else.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think that was the whole kind of discussion too. And according to this individual, that the Microsoft doesn't have any answers for this yet. So yeah, it's there's more to come, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, I look at it from 2 years ago, and it's like, whoa, look at what we can do now. It's pretty amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah, it really is. So the other stuff in that blog post today, they talked about there's stuff about updates on Office 365 Pro Plus. They talk about the LTSC for Windows 10, the long-term service channel, I guess now that's what they call it.
Yep.
And I guess the next revision or next version of LTSC for Windows 10 is scheduled for fall of this year, so later part of this year. And then finally,
does anybody I want to know who uses that.
So in my,
because do you actually, have you deployed that?
we had to use it's a very one-off situation.
Oh,
it's
okay.
like I think it was a issue with
somebody's heart monitor,
something like that. So I think it was like an experimental computer or whatever, had very specialized software, and it's not compatible with anything new, so you had to like keep it at a specific version. So we were like, okay, fine, here you go, take LTSB, which was what it was called, and that's it, that's all, and then that solved the problem. So we have like one-offs here, one or two here that's not in a big sense. I did see there was a chatter between Sammy Liho and Amy Castro on Twitter not too long ago, and they were going back and forth about LTSC, and Sammy is more pro LTSC and Amy is not, and so that was a pretty interesting discussion there. So
yep, I can see that if people are really freaked out by the whole servicing idea,
yeah,
which there are a lot, and comparatively speaking, it is not a simple thing to create an image for Windows 10 compared to like Windows XP, Windows 7.
Right.
And there is a humongous amount of chatter on the internet that proves my point there. And so I can see from the standpoint from a user, an IT pro, like, man, I just want this thing and I'm going to let it go for a couple of years and I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Instead of having to deal with, oh man, I got this deadline coming up. Will this new image work with the latest version of application, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
And it's supposed to, but of course, there's no way to 100% guarantee that. So yeah. I get it. I get the fear, or whatever the emotion is. And
it's really funny. I just was it yesterday or day before yesterday? I got someone at one of the end users at on campus and said, hey, looks like one of the patches from January has caused an issue where we can no longer use our some kind of imaging software.
Okay.
Right. So I was like, okay, well, which patch, and number two, it's not feasible anymore to remove one patch because they're all cumulative now, and it's like, and they're all just as important. So, hey, have you talked to the vendor yet? Blah blah blah, and ask the vendor for support and see if they can catch up, because if it's a patch, that means well, long story short, they came back with, oh yeah, well, this other patch, 4 or 5, I can't remember. I have the KB and I'll put it in the YouTube as well, and this should fix it. And I looked at it, and it was revised around January 27th, 26th, 27th, something like that. And I'm looking for it, and I can't find it. It's not in WSUS. It's not in ConfigMgr. I've done all the things, and it just doesn't show up. And I go look for this, and there's a forum post where people are complaining, like, they can't get this unless you go directly to the catalog and download it manually. So it's very interesting how.
That's interesting for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really interesting. This patch apparently fixes it, but I can't mass deploy it unless I manually download and hook it into ConfigMgr for deployment and stuff. So.
Got it. Uh-oh.
Oh boy. So the other thing, the other big news from today is actually all the all the 2019 stuff. Office 2019, right?
Yep, Exchange Server 2019, right?
SharePoint, yeah, Skype for Business, all that stuff. So, one of the things that really caught my eye is that Office 2019 is only going to be, it's only going to work on Windows 10.
Yep.
You read that too?
Yep.
Okay. Which is actually a good thing. In my opinion, I think it's a good thing. Because this forces everybody to move from the old OS to Windows 10, and everybody can be on the same platform going forward. And
exactly.
It's going to be the whole servicing methodology and stuff like that for both Office and the OS.
Yep, I completely agree.
Yeah.
The fewer editions of Windows that Microsoft has to support, it will lead to a more, not that Windows 10 isn't stable, but to a more stable versions of Windows now and in the future, and as well as fewer patching issues. Like, comparatively speaking, compared to a couple years ago, like, patching is a breeze now.
Yeah.
Everybody was freaked out about cumulative updates, like it's going to be messed up. But, from the beginning, Microsoft has always said, when we test patches, we always test them together. We don't do this patch and this patch and this patch. And everybody thought that cumulative updates would break everything.
Yeah.
Like, how many problems have we had? And if you properly review the documentation for things, for the updates and stuff like that, you probably did not have any issues. And now if you're the kind of person that has automatic rules to just deploy things and into production right away, you are probably going to have issues. But if you have a proper test dev and all that kind of environment to vet things out, or just rings within your production, then you probably won't have these issues.
Yeah.
So,
well, as you know me, I pay a lot of attention to patches. That's something I really enjoy and stuff like that, and especially on Patch Tuesday week, and I'm hovering, the networks and stuff like that, trying to look for what's problematic, what people are reporting. Is that really is that just an isolated situation, things like that, and so you got to catch these things. You got to be on top of it, otherwise, you're asking for it.
Yep.
So I do use ADRs, automatic deployment rules, and ConfigMgr, but I just use it so that it creates the packages, it creates the software update groups and stuff, but the deployments are not enabled until I actually manually check it in the next day and say, oh, that looks good. Okay, the schedule looks good. Revise it or whatever, and then it goes out. So I still do a little bit of manual because I want to.
Yeah.
Speaking of patches, this is really, really interesting. So we use Horizon View for VDI, right?
Okay.
VMware. And we had a little blowout about 2 weeks ago, and we'd been trying to get back and stuff like that with the recomposing and stuff. So we got this one pool, and what I did is about a week or so ago, I started, updating the template, and I looked at the template and it had, 1703 on it. I
Okay.
said, oh, it's 1709. I'll just upgrade it. I'm patching it up anyway, so I'll just upgrade it and all the fun stuff. And well, we found out actually yesterday that the pool is actually breaking because of 1709 because VMware doesn't support version 1709 in VDI yet. The version of Horizon View we're using, which is 7.1.
Got it.
Which means in order to have that support, we need to upgrade our Horizon View, to 7.2 or 7.4, I think, right now.
Got
Which is
it.
also it's a big job.
It's not. Yeah, it's significant.
It's like a 2-day project. So anyway, so that was pretty interesting to find all that stuff out. Like, one version can affect certain things, and very interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, glad you got that sorted out.
Yeah. So anything new? Anything? What about food-wise? Drinks? What are you drinking these days?
What am I drinking? Dude, I've been drinking like a ton of water. Yeah, I've got some really nice bottles of whiskey that I got from some of my friends, and I'm just like kind of waiting for the right moment to open them up. I love whiskey and rum.
So you're waiting for me to come, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and but it's funny. Like I haven't drank soda in a really long time, and just recently on the weekends I've been just drinking like an 8-ounce glass of whatever. And the reason my justification is on the weekends for dinner we will get we don't cook, we'll get something from the outside, and it's always something ridiculously greasy, like Five Guys hamburgers and fries.
Yeah.
And my justification is that the acid in the soda helps to like kind of digest everything. So I'll have a total of 16 ounces of Coke over the weekend.
Oh,
But
dude, that's
that's
sugar, man.
yeah, man, it's intense. And I didn't realize how much that wakes you up.
Oh, yeah.
I need to change my so I'll probably go down to like 4 ounces or something like that. But like normally I would, when I was drinking soda a lot, I'd be drinking like a couple cans or whatever. But now it's like, oh, okay, I'm okay with just a little bit.
So speaking of
So
whiskey, the one that you got me from New York, was it Hudson?
Hudson Ales,
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah,
I
pretty good
I
stuff.
miss it.
Yeah.
That was good.
But
That was
you can find it though. I've seen it. I've seen it in some liquor stores in various places. So you may be able to find it.
not the special batches though. That
Ah,
you have to go to the distillery and be like, I want the stuff that you don't want to sell.
the one behind the counter. Right, right,
Right.
right. Yeah,
It's not illegal or anything. It's just like they know
yeah,
that this batch came out really nice, and so they keep it for
right.
special things
And
or whatever.
apparently, there was a article and stuff like that recently about the proper way of drinking whiskey, and it's actually to add water. They said, yeah, adding
Mhm.
water actually changes the chemistry of the whiskey, and there's some. Uh,
I don't know about changing the chemistry of it, but what I know is I'll put a few drops in um, of like lukewarm
yeah.
water, and what that does, it dilutes it just a tiny bit so that you can pick out the flavors
Okay, I'm
a
gonna
little
share it.
better.
I'll find this article for you because it was very very interesting. There's certain I can't remember the stuff in whiskey, glycerol or gly something. And anyways, when it reacts with water, it takes away the bitterness and stuff like that, and whiskey's better. So
Okay.
drinking it on the rocks or straight is not recommended. So
Yep.
yeah,
Irish neat, water back.
yeah. And so speaking of drinking, I got a one of those red wine decanters for my
Oh, cool.
birthday, and and a really expensive wine which I haven't opened yet. And I'm one of those guys where like, does this really work? They say you're supposed to air it out, and it's supposed to be good or whatever. So I need to like get two exact bottles of wine,
Hmm.
put one in the decanter, and then one not,
Okay.
and then see if there's actually a difference.
Interesting. I'm not into wine. I don't like wine. If I when I drink it, it's a sweet red like Lambrusco, and I
Oh,
like to put it on rocks with Coke, and then I drink it.
okay. We'll just stick
I
with whiskey then.
Yeah, that's
All right, man.
um, one thing I learned the other day. Don't store your cucumbers with your other vegetables like tomatoes,
Mm,
and things like that, because the tomatoes, as they ripen, release this gas. I forgot what it's called,
okay.
which reacts with the cucumber and makes it rot faster. If you
No
got to,
way.
yeah, I'm like, what the? That's amazing. I had no idea.
Oh, we learned
Science,
something
man.
new. There you go.
Science. Science is good.
We are geniuses, man. We're not only like IT pros. We are like food and drink experts.
Sure.
All right, man. So, until next time, you'll find me on Twitter. I'm at Hooge, Horge.
You might find me on Twitter, and my alias is at IT Prayer.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Later.
Bork, bork, bork.